So here's what's really funny. This is like the, I don't know, fifth, this is the 5th video that I'm recording today. We're traveling in time again. By now my hair is significantly drier, which means it's bigger. If you were to see the first one, which is for the 30th of August, and it's about my Nostapina collection, then you would note that my hair is wet and it's flatter and it's getting bigger because it's dry. I knew that was going to happen eventually. It was going to be weird. And so there you go. You're not imagining it. It's totally happening. Not that it matters. Like, it really only matters to me because I'm sending these, or I'm putting these videos up like once a week. So I don't know. I just noticed it. That's it. So it's Sunday, which means it's time for a Stashcast. For those of you who don't know who I am, though, I'm Aradia Noir, your resident witch and creatrix over to Aradia's Hand and Danae's Divine, where I create myth, magic, and meaning for your everyday life through art, intuition, and energy work. And on Sundays, we like to do a little thing called a Stashcast. Now, stash typically refers to artistic materials used by creatives. These can be beads, buttons, shells, yarn, thread, paints, fabric, what have you. And usually stash gets accumulated. So stashes are, air towards the size of larger. That's not like a hard and fast rule, because you can certainly have a very small stash of things, but most people have a decent sized stash. Now, I also like to include tools into that because I collect tools and I usually have several, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. So over the last couple of weeks, I've been discussing various types of knitting looms. We started off looking at them all broadly, and then I decided to divide them up based on type and talk about them. The last 2 weeks, I've only had one of those. The week before that, though, I had a set, and this is a single loom, but it's got 3 different like tops that you can use. So it's like a set, but not really. You bought the set all at once. So without further ado, the French knitter. I saw this is like an impulse purchase. If I find a fiber tool, like, I want it. That's it. I'm like, I need that. What is it for? Don't know, but I need it. I like it because it shows you working with wire and you can work with finer threads. And I've got 2 samples, which is great because the last 2 weeks when I shared the rectangular loom and the flower loom, I didn't have any samples to show you. I have used this a couple times. I do still put it in the package just because the reality is it's plastic. You gotta be careful. They will break. The reason I like the knitting looms is you don't have to worry about tension. The space between the pegs is the space between the pegs. It's relatively mindless. You don't have to like focus or count or whatnot. So that's really cool. And it's generally speaking very easy to know, hey, if you form the stitch or not, because of how you work the stitches on the loom. So it's a lot easier to not lose your place, for example, which I know happens in knitting like tons. So you would basically be using this very similar to the flower loom. It's going to make a tube. Which is, the flower looms are going to make a tube. The larger circular ones are also going to make a tube. But this is going to be like a tube that's reminiscent of an I-cord. Now, because of the distance between the pegs, it's going to be a fairly loose I-cord. It's not going to be super tight. So that's like a thing. But here is one such example. So I've got some smaller beads here. And you can do it with beads, without beads. But I personally thought this was really pretty. I want to say this is like a lace. It could be a light fingering weight, but I think it might be a lace. But that was really pretty. You got a little chain. I actually have to repair this. But yeah, there's that one. That one's called Hamadryad. And then this one I really like this. So this is fun, and this just kind of gives you an idea of what it looks like when you use things that are like non-uniform. So we've got this, and you've got all these little chunky, was it howlite and quartzite beads. So it gives it like a bit more, I don't know, character, I guess. Now I will say, when you use this and you use beads, you want to make sure that you push the beads out, because otherwise they'll basically be trapped in here. And if you want them trapped in there, I mean, like, that's cool, like, whatever. But that's not what I wanted to do. So I was like, you guys gotta move. You're in the way. I have to talk to my tools. But yeah, the French knitter is typically used for jewelry, so you could use it with wire. I would be careful, because wire can bite into plastic, and so, you know, bear in mind that. You can use it with thread. You can certainly use it with a larger yarn, but if it's too large for the pegs, what's going to happen is the tension is going to be really tight, probably. And it's going to be a little more difficult to like work the stitches and get them to go down into the tube, into the hole from the, you know, where the pegs sit. So that I would bear that in mind. Now, yeah, I think that was everything. So if you'd like to see pictures of the French knitter and the 2 pieces that I've got as samples, you can scroll into the post below. If you're watching this on YouTube, however, hit that link at the very top and it'll send you over to Patreon. I'll be linking to where you can buy this, or at least find more information about it. And of course, my question to you is, hey, how do you use this? Have you used something similar? You know, how'd you like it? What'd you make? Love to hear from you. My websites, Radi's Hand and Danae's Divine, are linked below, as well as my active social media, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, where I like to hang out the most. And because you stayed to the end of the video, what are we doing tomorrow? Well, it just so happens it's Monday, which means it's time for some Monday motivation. Fingers crossed that I'm motivated and not tired. And, you know, whatever. We'll see. I don't know. All else fails, we're going to set an intention that we're going to check in on Wednesday and then review on Friday. So there's at least that. Yeah. So I want to say thank you to everybody who's watching. If you're on YouTube, remember to like and subscribe. And for all of my people on Patreon, you mean the world to me. I really appreciate your support over there. And if you're on YouTube and you're not on Patreon yet, maybe you should come over and join us. I do some special patron-only posts, you know, each month, as well as some community work that I don't offer anywhere else. So if you want in on that, head on over. The link that's to the post will send you there, and you can, you know, futz around on my profile. So without further ado, so long, farewell, auf Wiedersehen, and goodbye, sweetlings, and I will see you tomorrow. Toodles!